Hi, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us today. We are having a conversation with Marie V. Stevens. Hi, Marie. Thank you so
Hi.
much for joining us today. Marie experienced her NDE, her near-death experience, which always leads me into, well, you're kind of a death experience, not a near-death. You actually
Yeah,
died.
yeah,
Um,
yeah.
and you had it in January 19th of 2010. So
22, yeah.
I just want to have a conversation with you about how everything happened when you were coming into your NDE. What have you
Sure,
learned from it? And just I'll interject if you just want to start your story.
sure. Well, even like leading up to it, it was kind of weird because I was married at the time and I had a garden. And I remember every day I was going out there and I was buying stuff and trying to get all the plants in the ground. And my husband's like, let's with the big hurry. And I'm like, I don't know, but something tells me I need to hurry because it's going to come to an end soon. Like I don't have
Oh,
much time. And he goes, what do you mean you don't have much time? And I'm like, I just don't. I don't have a lot of time left. And I couldn't understand what was going on. And at that point, I know this is going to sound real weird, but I have talked to other people that have also had this experience where they were having like paranormal activity,
hmm,
like feeling like abductions going on and all that
right.
stuff. So I was having all that stuff going on. There was a lot of stuff, weird stuff going on
Uh-huh.
right before, but I was very sick. And I remember like going to work and like having to pull over because I was just doing nothing but vomiting mucus.
Oh my gosh.
And but I kept going to work. You have to work, have
Yeah,
to
you
bring
have
that
to.
money, just
Right, right.
ignore what the body's saying and just keep going. And they gave me one round of antibiotics that didn't work. Did that for like 10 days. I went back in, I had a second round of antibiotics, that still didn't work. And finally on it was on 18th, the 16th, I got extremely, extremely sick and I just couldn't stand it anymore. And I was rushed to the hospital. And my husband thought, okay, we're just going to go in and we're going to go out. We didn't even have insurance. So
Right,
he's like, this is going to cost us a fortune.
right.
And, that's all he was worried about. And then all of a sudden the doctor came in and he said, no, he goes, we're going to have to admit her. He goes,
Okay.
because this is serious. And they took me up to ICU, but they couldn't figure out what was wrong with me. They kept doing tests, and they couldn't figure out what was wrong with me. Now, the funny thing leading up to this is that the last day that I was at work, I told a coworker, I'm going to be out for a little while because I think I have pneumonia. Now,
Oh,
now, I had never had pneumonia.
uh-huh.
I didn't know what pneumonia was, and as far as I knew, it was just some infection. But I went in, and my whole life, I don't go swimming because I'm scared to death of drowning.
Oh,
My whole life, I've always been scared to death of drowning. So they finally, the day that it happened, I was I had been very, very sick and I
hmm.
was laying there and I had no idea I had been in ICU for the last 3 days.
Oh.
So and yeah, and my husband hadn't told me. I thought I was just in a regular room
And you were in ICU. So
and
you
I
were
was
like,
in
you woke up
ICU.
probably very, very disoriented. Like, where am I at?
Well, was the thing was that people were constantly dying around me. Like there was a lady that had died like the first day I was there, and there was a lady that had died. So it was kind of weird. So I was like, what the heck? And I thought, why are they mixing me into this room with all these people? But I had no idea it was ICU.
Oh my gosh. So it was ice.
So
Wow.
I was always hearing all those monitors going, right?
Right.
So the morning that it happened to me it was like I remember my bed was facing, I had the front door was right there to the room and the
Uh-huh.
clock was right on the wall. And I heard the monitor go off.
Right.
And I thought to myself, I laid there and I was like, oh man, somebody else has died.
Oh
That's
no.
that sucks.
Not me.
So
What
the
else?
next thing I know, I kind of look over and I see my monitor, and the
Oh.
nurses are rushing in and they're opening the things and they're coming at me. So I'm like, I looked up at the clock. It was 7:20 in
Uh-huh.
the morning,
I was just gonna ask.
and I go, oh shit, it's me.
Oh, really? That's kind of so.
So I realized it's me. And I thought, and this next thought that went through my mind was, this is so sad that I'm
Oh.
going to be sitting here dying alone. And then my next thought was, but it's so peaceful. It's so
Oh.
peaceful. Like death was just so peaceful.
boom, boom, boom.
Yeah, it was like boom, boom, boom. The thoughts were just,
Wow.
so then all of a sudden it's just everything, like I fell asleep. It was like it just went black. So I didn't
Wow.
hear anything else. And I was like, it was like confusing to me, right? It was like,
Uh-huh.
this is like kind of confusing. And then it's like, I remember I was like trying to adjust my eyes. And as I started opening my eyes, I was looking down and I was barefoot,
Okay.
but, and it was the most beautifulest, like white marble floor I had ever seen in my life. It had like, the black marbles going
Right.
through it. And it was just
Right.
gorgeous. And I remember thinking to myself, that's weird. Marble's always cold, but my feet were nice and warm.
Oh,
So as my eyes started adjusting, as because it was kind of a darker, and as my eyes started adjusting, I saw like I was like in a courtroom,
okay.
and it was like the bench kind of went all the way around, and there was four entities.
Well, I have
Now,
to ask you this. Did the bench go, could you see the end of the bench? Or did it just seem to go off?
no, it was just no, yeah, you could actually see where it ended. It was just
Okay.
like a courtroom.
All right.
And then it was just the white walls, but like there was no doors, no
Okay.
windows, no doors, nothing. And there was the four entities, and I know people have gone, what are entities? And it's like, I mean, the only thing I can describe it is like they're not quite spirits. I mean, I could see that they were there, but I couldn't tell if they were male, if they were
Oh,
female,
okay.
nothing. So in unison, I heard, we are here. And it was like, the here was kind of funny. It's like, we are here, and I was like, okay. I'm like, what the heck is going on? So they're like, we need to ask you a question. So I remember at that point, there was no more words exchanged. Everything was telepathically.
Okay.
And they said to me, do you want to go back, or do you want to come with us? And I said, no, I think I'm going to have to go back, because
Oh.
I have to take care of my grandkids. And they're like, okay. And then the next thing I know, I was like, I took this breath, and the nurse is like, we got her back. We got her back. We got her back. We got her back. Let's go. Let's go. Let's go. And next thing I know, I'm flying down the corridors, being shoved in an elevator. And I remember looking at the nurse, and she was crying. And I was like, why is this woman crying? And I was like, what's going on? What's going on? And she goes, you're drowning, which
Oh,
was kind of weird. I was like, what? How am I drowning? I don't even
right.
swim.
I've
So they had
never
found,
seen in my life.
yeah, they had found out that I had pneumonia, and literally my lungs were filling up with fluid.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, so I was drowning. So they got me right in. The next thing I remember is this man telling me, I'm so sorry for what I'm about to do. And he just he just ripped off my shirt real fast, grabbed a roll of tape, pressed it underneath my breast, and shoved it up. And he's like, you got to go. Then he put me under. And when I woke up, I had tubes stuck, underneath both of my breasts, taking all the water out of my lungs.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So I look kind of, I know I look like something out of Star Wars. When I woke up, I was like, what is this? So yeah, so I spent like 30 days in ICU. And after that, then I spent another 2 weeks in the regular hospital.
Okay.
And the nurse came in, she goes, you're really lucky. She goes, because you almost end up dying of what Jim Henson had.
Oh,
You had strep pneumonia. And actually, I don't know if you can see it up there, but that picture up there, that's actually
uh-huh.
Jim Henson with Kermit the Frog. Like
Really?
I always have his picture up now, because I'm like, and I always think, maybe he said he wanted to go. I said I wanted to
Maybe, right?
stay.
Maybe. Isn't that interesting to have that idea? Is that
Yeah,
maybe they really did just
yeah.
want
Because
to
I
go?
always thought, after I had that experience, I was like, it kind of sucks how he was so talented, and here he got to go, and he had to go, I had to stay. But maybe he chose a different answer, right?
Well, when you were there, did you get to see like a review of your life, or was it just like this one question and you're
Nope,
out of here?
that was it. I mean, I just woke up and saw them and felt all the weird
Wow.
experiences. But I always thought it was kind of weird, because I'm like, there's no way out of this room. Like, there's no way out of this room. Like, there was no doors,
Right.
there was no windows. I'm like,
how did I get here? How am I going? Where am I going?
Right. Yeah. I was like, how did I get here? If there's no doors, where am I? Yeah. Where am I going? If there's no doors, how are they going to let me go? So like all these thoughts were going through my head,
And
at the
who's
same time.
answering them? You
Huh?
didn't get answers to your questions
No,
as you were asking them.
no, those questions I didn't
Wow.
get an answer to. And it was just like right away. But then what ended up happening was after the 2 weeks, there was a lot of like I don't know, there was a lot of emotional trauma that I worked through after that whole experience, where I was angry at people because I was like, this person took advantage of me and this person took advantage of me. And, how dare that person treat me like that? And then I was getting like weird answers, like, I started kind of hearing the voices a little bit going, and at that point, it was just like the one voice and was
This
telling
was
me
this was after you came
after,
back. Okay,
yeah,
all right. I just want to make sure
yeah.
that I had that correct.
So as I laid there, after I got out of ICU and I went to the regular room, I could hear the little voices. And it was just like, well, it wasn't them doing that to you. It was you allowing it. Why did you allow it? Nobody can do
Wow.
anything to you that you don't allow. And I was like, oh, that's true. And so here I am having these weird conversations in
Right.
the hospital with these little voices. And I started thinking, is this my subconscious? What is going on here? You know, so it was just all this stuff that was going on. And then the weirdest part happened when I actually got home. So when I got home,
Okay.
I was very, very ill. So not only did I had Crohn's, I had kidney disease. I was diabetic and my numbers were like crazy. They wanted to put me on dialysis and put me on a kidney transplant list. And all sorts of stuff. It was horrible. My liver was literally shutting down.
Wow.
I had so much cirrhosis that they didn't even know what to do. I couldn't actually keep food down. I couldn't even hardly keep water down. I was just so sick.
Wow.
So like,
And that's when you were home. You
yeah, I
left, you
got
came
home.
home,
Yeah.
and you were that sick.
Hmm.
And they're
Yeah.
like, okay, you can just go now.
I don't know.
You just leave. We don't know what's wrong with you. See you later.
No, it's like basically we don't know what to do with all this,
We
right?
don't know
You're
what to
just going to have to
do.
deal
Okay.
with different doctors and, go to this
Okay.
specialist and that's it. We're done here. So there was always that underlying fear of what happens if the pneumonia comes back? What happens if, this time, I have to choose a different answer or
Right.
whatever. So I remember I had just finished eating dinner. This was about 2 weeks after I got out of the hospital. I had just finished eating dinner. And like 10 minutes later, it just all came up. I couldn't keep it down. So
Wow.
I went outside and I was sitting on one of those little, those swings. And I remember it must have been like 4 or 5 o'clock in the afternoon because, it was like just right at that time when the sun's going down. And I had relaxed and I had just like closed my eyes. And suddenly I was like sucked in. That's the only way I can describe it. I was like sucked into this vortex
Uh-huh.
where all of a sudden it was like I could feel the earth breathing and I could feel the grass breathing. And I was like, "Ooh, this is really weird." And then I could feel the trees and I could feel everything that was going through the trees. And then all of a sudden the expansion just kept getting bigger
Mm-hmm.
and bigger. And then all of a sudden I was like part of the entire planet and I was part of everyone. Like I was one with everyone.
Mm-hmm.
And I could feel everybody's emotions and the sadness and the fear. And then all of a sudden the expansion just kept getting bigger and bigger, like where I could see myself beyond the planet and beyond the universe. And then all of a sudden, the only thing that I can describe is like, like the love of God,
Mm-hmm.
and it was just like it was just, I can't even describe it till this day. I was like, I just want to cry when I experience it because it was just so overwhelming. It just was so much. I just couldn't, there wasn't enough room in my heart. There wasn't enough room in my body to experience all this. So I was just like, I took a deep breath and I was like, and I came out of it and I was like, just, whoa, that was
Wow.
just like unreal. So the very next day, I didn't even know what that was all about, but I did come to the conclusion that like we are all one.
Mm-hmm.
We are all connected. not just the earth, the planet, the ocean, us, every people, all of us, we're all, every single one of us connect. We are a collective, right? And everything is run along that collective. So there's that little line that binds all of us together. So like a few days later, I kept getting sick. I went back to the hospital. I did this for about 3 weeks. Back to the hospital, back home, back to the hospital, back home, ambulance. And so I acquired even more hospital bills.
Right.
So it was just crazy. And then at one point, the guy at the hospital told me, look, it's all in your head, which I hear now from a lot of the people that I work with. They're telling me it's all in my head.
They're telling you that, wait, the people that you work with are saying that they are getting told that as well? Because what we haven't said, no, okay.
Yeah, the people that come to me, you know, for help, and the people that the clients that I have, they're always telling me, yeah, the doctor's telling me it's all in my head. It's all in my head. You know, or they're telling me, hey, I'm having all these paranormal experiences, so they think I'm crazy. Oh, blah, blah, blah. Right. So I'm like, oh yeah, no, been there, done that. You're not crazy. So they wanted me to go see a psychologist or a psychiatrist because they said that the voices, chances are that I was becoming schizophrenic from the whole experience. And I was hearing these voices. And one of my biggest fears was I could literally feel like, here's God, this is the main computer, and I'm getting this downloaded information telling me you're dying. Every single one of your cells is slowly shutting down and you're dying. So I started looking up information, and it's true. You know, there's a lady, Joanna Budwick, who was the first one that ever came across it, that your cells actually have light in them. And as the cells go, you know, going dim, you start dying. Yep. So I'm like, so this is true. This is true. So we had a friend who owned a casket company. And me and my husband started picking out caskets because I knew I was dying.
My goodness.
Yeah.
So this is a huge journey. And now you're like, okay, I'm going to I'm going to die.
I'm going to die. Yeah. So this choice was only temporary. You know, I think that's just fate. It's like, if it's your time to go, it's your time to go, and you have to go, you know? So obviously this is it. So I started looking on the internet, and I started looking for answers, for health answers. And it was kind of weird. Answers. I was like, how do I know that? How do I know that? How do I know to look that up? Oh, that's interesting. And then I would look stuff up like on the liver, and this doctor would have this huge page written on the liver. I'm like, that's not how the liver works. That's not how it functions. It functions like this. What the heck is this man talking about? You know, and it was like this weird information. And I was like, and I would even get to the point where I would talk to the voices. I'm like, shut up. This guy is you know, he went to medical school for years.
Right.
What do you know? You know, and blah, blah, blah. And then it was like more voices. Right.
Okay.
So it wasn't just the main voice telling me, no, that's not that. It was the 4 voices, but now they weren't in unison anymore. They had separated, and it was the 4 voices. So like I would go to these meetings or whatever where there was older people there, and of course here's my rheumatoid arthritis and it's just killing me. You know how older people love to talk about their aches and pains,
right? And
I would have the little voices in my head going, it's not rheumatoid arthritis, that's from a trauma that she had when she was 6 years old because she fell off her bike and it was very traumatic for her, and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, what? And they're like, tell her to take this. If she took this, she would get over it right away, you know, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, shut up, you know, but I would never tell anybody because there was always another voice that always told me, don't ever seek anyone out. Wow. Ever seek anyone out.
No one.
People that need you are going to come to you. Right. So it's kind of like, you know, when you're ready, the teacher will appear kind of thing. Right. That's what I kept hearing. You know, when the person is ready, they will come to you. Right.
So, I'm just so like shocked. I'm not shocked. Yeah. I'm lit up as you talk about this. My whole body is like, this is so.
Yeah, it's like tingling, right?
Yeah, right.
So I get the tingling. So another thing that I had a problem with in the beginning, because I always wanted to help everybody. It's like, I have this, I want to help. And it was like, no. Everybody has their own journey. They have to have their own choice. I choose to go. I choose to stay. You can't have them stay. So one of the things that I was not privy to in the beginning was no matter how much I tried, I could not figure out fertility issues. Like if somebody had fertility issues, I'm like, yeah, don't even contact. I can't. So I think that was we can't help you bring somebody onto the planet.
Right.
That's not you're doing. And another thing was heart issues. So I was not allowed to, like, I just couldn't get heart stuff into my head. Why is this happening? So the other day, a day before yesterday, I had a consultation, and what I usually do is I will take a piece of paper and I will write the person's name on the piece of paper, and then I'll light a candle for them. And then I will get into that space, and it's like, please help me, to fully diagnose this person. And I saw like an aneurysm, and I was like, that's weird. That's the first time I had ever seen that.
Wow.
And the first words out of the woman's mouth is, I have an aneurysm. And I was like, wow, how did I see that? So this is something that you are definitely not going to die of, because I'm not allowed privilege to that.
Right.
So I'm not allowed privileges to birth, and I'm not allowed privileges to death. So I can only do the in between.
So you start listening, and the voices differentiate to 4 different voices.
Right.
The main voice that you heard, can you still hear that voice, or is that?
Definitely. Yeah.
Okay.
No, the unison voice. No, those entities I know have now split up, and each one gives me different direction. I do know it's the same person. I do know it's those entities.
Oh, because that's my next question was, do you think that it's the 4 entities that you sat in front of?
Yes, definitely.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
So another thing that I was told in the beginning was, I have a lot of people that are like, okay, I have this rheumatoid arthritis. And, once I got my rheumatoid arthritis, they told me I had diverculitis and blah, blah. And they told me, don't listen to that. Those are labels. Do not listen to the labels. Okay. Dis-ease in the body is just a progression, and they give it different names. Okay. Right. So for instance, you might go in this week, and I tell a lot of clients this, this week you might go in and you sit there and go, oh, I have a really bad stomach ache. And they go, okay, stomach ache.
Right.
6 months later, you might go in and you go, okay, now I'm having this stuff come back up. Oh, acid reflux.
Right.
Then, a year later, you might come back and going, okay, well, now I can't digest food. Oh, diverculitis, and then later on, it's like, oh, Crohn's. And then later on, oh, cancer. Actually, they're just giving it labels, but it's the exact same dis-ease, just the progression in the body.
That's fascinating.
So it was like, kiss, kiss, kiss. Keep it simple, stupid. Keep it simple, stupid. Right. So that's all I kept hearing was, do not let people, detour you with the labels. So somebody will tell me, well, I had this blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, okay, break it down for me. I know what that is. Break it down for me. What are you feeling? So the way I have a lot of people, especially on TikTok, YouTube, whatever, that sit there, oh, diagnose me. What's wrong with me?
Right.
Okay, so that's not the way. I can scan your body a little. I get this much, right?
Right.
So the way that it works is when I go into a consultation, I'll tell the person, I'm going to give you the floor. All right. And I want you just to tell me whatever your story. I want you to tell me your story. Right. So they'll tell me, well, I have this back pain, and ever since I was 5, I've had this and blah, blah. Now, as they're telling me their story, I've got a piece of paper, and I do what's called automatic writing. Right. And I cut that paper in half. Half of it is the voices telling me what the actual problem is, and the other half is telling me what they should do about it. So sometimes I have to stop people, but pretty much I've gotten to the point where I can write very quickly. So it's like, they'll be telling me, my back is really hurting. She's got kidney disease. Okay. Kidney disease. Okay. And, I've had this since I was 5. Okay. It's stage 4 right now. Okay. It's stage 4 right now. Okay. She needs to take this, and she needs to do this. And, so I'm doing this the whole time. Right.
Right.
So yeah, and that's just basically how I've done it all this time.
So you had your NDE, you crossed over. So I'm kind of recapping it. I just want to make sure that I've gotten everything kind of in my head.
Right.
You crossed over.
Let me wrap my head around this.
I know, got to wrap my head around this. So you died.
Mm-hmm.
You went to the other side.
Yeah, almost 2 minutes.
Almost 2 minutes. Flatline for almost 2 minutes.
Yeah.
And you had pneumonia, and you were drowning, which was your biggest fear in your whole you know, which also leads to questions of, was that a premonition
I
that
think so.
coming
Yeah.
into this life that you knew that you should be afraid of drowning?
Yeah. I
Yeah,
think so.
that's interesting. That's also incredibly fascinating to
Yeah.
me. But so then
And how did I know it was pneumonia when I've never had pneumonia before?
right, and you knew it, yeah, and you diagnosed yourself, and you were like, oh,
Yeah.
this is what it is,
Yeah.
and they're like, yeah, this is what you have.
Yeah.
You're telling. I do have a question. What happened to your garden that you had to get into the ground?
I didn't even care about that when I got out.
Uh, I was so curious. I'm like, what happened to the garden? It was like, whatever, it's gone.
I was just
Um,
like, whatever.
so you stay in the hospital and you come home,
Mhm.
and then you have this another. So usually
Yeah.
one of the things I've heard from other NDE experiencers is that you just keep experiencing for quite a while afterwards as you
Yeah.
get like
Yeah.
integrate into your body and your system what's happening.
Yeah. You do.
Yeah.
Because I was very, very in tune. There was even a point where I think it was like 8 months afterwards where I had told my daughter, I think I'm going to have to go see a psychologist or a psychiatrist. And she's like, why? And I even sat her on the edge of my bed and I'm like, I'm really worried. And she's
Oh.
like, why? And I'm like, because I have this feeling that I actually died and I'm not really here. This is just I'm
Oh.
just like, this is all fake. Are you real? And she's like, yeah, mom. She goes, I'm real. I mean, you lived through that. And I'm like, I don't feel like I did. I feel like I died and I'm living on another, in another realm. And this is like not really my life. And yeah, it was really weird for a very long time. For a
I
very
think
long
that,
time after that.
I think other NDE experiencers I've spoken with, absolutely, that's absolutely how they feel. Like, how is
Yeah.
this real? If that was more real than anything that I've ever felt
Yeah.
before.
Yeah.
And
And I would have like real weird, like out of body experiences
oh, okay.
where like, I'm like, okay, then what am I doing up here? Like I felt like I needed to grab onto something because I felt like I was floating
Right.
and like my body was down there, but I'm up here. And sometimes I had to give up driving for a while because of that,
Yeah.
because I would have these weird out of body experiences while I was driving. And
Oh,
I was like,
wow.
whoa, I need to pull over, and
Yeah.
I would just pull over. And sometimes they would go away right away, but sometimes they would last longer. And I was like, okay, I got to give up driving for a while. So yeah, I did. I actually, we ended up selling the house where everything happened.
Uh-huh.
And my husband was a truck driver, so he was always on the road. And I ended up renting a like little community apartment that was only 400 square feet.
Uh-huh.
And it was actually very dark. And I was in there and it took me almost 2 years to get over all of that. And I felt comfortable in that tiny little space where I was surrounded by community, where I knew if I needed help, people would be there. And I had a little garden. I grew my own food and, everything. I was just there, and when I finally came out of all that 2 years later, then I told my husband, it's like, hey, we need to go buy a house. I need to get some sunlight. I need to start living again,
You're in New Mexico where there is tons of sunshine.
I know.
And you're like, I
Yeah.
have to be in this very
Darkness.
dark. I'm
Yeah.
sort of like in a cocoon.
Yeah. In a cocoon. Yeah.
Yeah. You're in a
It was
cocoon.
very, I mean, I was like 400 square feet. It was like this tiny, tiny, tiny little space that was just, but that's where I healed, and that's
Right.
that's where I started to heal from my diabetes, which I have reversed my diabetes, my Crohn's, my everything. Like I have nothing now.
So your gift coming back from your NDE was just tons of medical knowledge,
Yeah.
tons of how the body works,
Yeah.
tons of how
Yeah.
even when you get. My curiosity is this as well, because sometimes I work like this where I just come in front of somebody and boom, it starts happening, right? Like
Yeah.
if it's supposed to be with that person, then it is on.
Yeah.
And that's kind of what I'm hearing from you as well, is that
Yeah.
is that you have practices and structure around what you.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Because for a while, what I was happening was like, I would go to Walmart and I was like, I would be, in the fruit section and I'd be like, what's going on? And I'd look over and it's like, oh my gosh, she's having a panic attack. She's having a panic attack. And I would start having the panic attack. Right.
Okay.
So, so that's why I kind of cocooned myself
Yes.
to learn how I got to heal myself first, because I was so sick that I couldn't take on somebody else's sickness because it was making me sicker. So
Oh.
now, I do trampoline. I'm constantly moving my lymphatic system. I'm constantly drinking water. I drink tons of juices, fresh pressed juices. I eat almost raw, so I eat very, 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 very healthy, because like sometimes there was a lady, the very first lady that I ever did off of TikTok.
Mhm.
I started and I never have boils ever, because
Yeah.
boils is like an acid problem. And I started getting a boil on my leg, and I was like, what is this? And I mean, it grew so quickly,
Wow.
very, very quickly. And sure enough, the very first woman that I have a contact with is she's telling me how she has this horrible boil, and it's the size of, New York. And I'm like, oh, well, that explains that. And like a day and a half later, it finally popped. And I was like, oh, thank God it finally popped. Thank God for her, because I was like, please, do as I say, because you need to get this pop. So mine will also. So
So
some people's energy is very, very strong, and I take on their problem.
yeah, that's what I was just going to ask. That's like, if you're taking on a lot of medical conundrums or like issues, then how do you function? how
Yeah.
how do you protect yourself?
Yeah. So, I mean, yeah, one of them is diet. Like I'm very, very, like, I don't touch processed sugars. I eat very raw. I eat a lot of
Mhm.
nuts, seeds, everything like that. Um, I mean, if I flip my cat, well, look, I got tons of,
Right.
I'm like, even right here next to me, look, I got tons of, you know, I got to take this supplement. I got to take that supplement. I'm constantly detoxifying every day, my kidneys, my liver, especially my liver, because 99% of people I talk to, their livers are just toxic.
It's their
So
liver.
keeping my liver very clean. I'm always doing flushes. So I'm always, always, always on me,
Right.
focusing, trying to get enough rest and, everything else, so that I don't, but I'm very aware of my body. Like my feet will get cold and I'm like, oop, adrenals, got to go take care of those. And so I'm constantly on top of those. Yeah.
So what if your hands are cold? What about
Adrenal.
Ryan? Say
Yeah.
adrenals. That's what it is.
Yeah, adrenals. Yeah, your hands and
Wow.
your feet. So it's like instantly, I'm like, oop, I know what to take. Let me go take that. And so I'm always, and I know my family laughs at me. It's like, we're all gonna die anyway. I'm like, I'm not afraid of dying. Like
Right.
it's very peaceful. It's
I've
like,
done it.
yeah, I just don't want to be sick every day.
Right.
I want to be able to
How
help people.
how did it affect your relationships when you came back and you had a near death experience?
Um, well, it hasn't, like, I don't usually tell, like, TikTok was actually my coming out story.
Oh, you were like you so this happened in you know
Yeah.
2010, and so you just kind of came out on TikTok and said it. Just
Yeah.
it just probably came right out of your
No,
mouth
it
and
was
you were
like
like,
my granddaughter. I had gotten on TikTok and I really didn't have a lot of followers and stuff. And I didn't have any ideas for what to do. So my granddaughter was like, why are you going in all these different directions? I said, because I am all these different directions. I like home improvement. I like food. I want to show off all my, she goes, but you haven't told your main story, grandma. And that's that,
oh.
that you died. And I was like, nobody's interested in that, honey. I said, nobody's
Everybody's
interested.
interested in
So
that.
the next thing I know, I go to bed with like 50 followers, wake up the next day, I got 50,000. I'm like, oh my God. And it was just like, it just went crazy. But I had never really told anybody, because like I didn't tell friends or anything like that, because I was told never to seek out anyone, you know.
Right.
So it was just, let people come to you. So I kind of just, I never told anybody. Now, as far as my family, I'm no longer married.
That's kind of the I was going to ask that. Is that directly related to sort of
Well,
a
yeah, because I became such a health conscious person,
mhm.
that, and my husband refused to change. He wanted to eat his meat. He wanted to have his soda. He wanted to. He's like, I can't live like this.
Ah,
I can't. This is just too healthy for me. And
ah,
I was like, well, this is me. Hey, I want to go out to dinner. Well, I can't go out to dinner there because that's crappy food. And
right.
and then me telling him, hey, you've got a bunch of stuff plugging up in your colon, and you're gonna have to
Oh,
get, and yeah, and he was like, yeah, I get,
we're
so
done.
yeah,
I don't want to be that.
I
Well,
can't do
yeah.
that. Yeah.
Wow.
So yeah, he moved on with somebody that likes to eat like him and live like him, and that's fine. We're still the best of friends.
I'm sure, right? Yeah.
Yeah, we're still the best of friends. It's like, hey, we understand we have to go our separate ways. That's okay. As far as my other family, there's been a lot of, you can imagine, I mean, my daughter was trained by the medical profession. And so there's like, I sit there and I'm like, well, she needs to get off that. She's like, oh, here we go again.
I was just going to ask, does she ever come to you with asking your opinion?
My youngest daughter actually showed up at my door almost dead.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Oh, well, now we've got to talk about that. So we got to, what was your youngest daughter doing as a profession?
She was a psych nurse.
She was
a psych nurse, and she basically worked with Alzheimer's patients.
Okay.
But she, like you said, we weren't talking a lot. She had already moved out on her own, right, after I got better and stuff. So she was kind of living her life, and she had gotten married, and, she was kind of doing her thing and everything else. And then 2 years ago, her husband showed up with her on my doorstep, like literally carrying her. And she was like, the minute I saw her, I'm like, she's dying. She's dying. Yeah, she's dying.
Wow.
So, and I was afraid to bring her in because I was raising the grandchildren. Mm-hmm. And I was like, what am I going to do if she dies here in my house? How am I going to let her children deal with this, and how? So it was kind of a rough, but she's great. Now she's the manager of a, of a unit and everything else, doing wonderful. So, yeah.
So you saved your daughter's life. Mm-hmm. So that's really also very interesting that they shifted you into that. Like you were able to do that for you. That's, I love that. I love it because I know we had talked just a little bit about this, but like whatever is coming in front of you is what kind of you can do something about.
Yes, definitely.
Like, here's your daughter. Did you, when you were working on your daughter or working with your daughter, did she stay with you? Did she?
Yeah, she did. She stayed with me the whole entire time because I'm like, nope, we're going to work together and we're going to do this. And she was to the point where she couldn't hold down any water or any food whatsoever.
Wow.
So and she was like lethargic. She could barely move, everything. Wow. So we had to go through that, but and that took a while. It took about 8 months. And then she moved here with me when we got this house, and she lived in this space. So this was her apartment.
Okay.
So she lived here for 1 year, and then they finally got their own apartment and they moved out, and I decided to move my office in here.
That's great. I love your office. I do love it. I do think you actually did a couple TikToks about you clearing
clearing it out and putting the new one in. Yeah.
And I love that story that you were able, and your daughter is probably incredibly grateful.
Yeah, because she's now living her life, and she's she's enjoying herself. And that's one thing that I've noticed is that a lot of people, they have these I want to say near death experience, because they don't actually die, but they have these, very close to death experiences. And to me, that's your body saying, and who's ever out there and hears this, they will get it. They will get it.
Yeah.
Whoever needs to hear it will definitely get it. And a lot of people, it's like they have these near death experiences because they just there's not enough love for yourself. Right. That's what I'm always told. The love is not there. You have to love yourself. Eating crappy foods and doing all this is, you're abusing yourself, right? Mm-hmm. At some point you were in an abusive relationship or an abusive, toxic, whatever, with parents, whatever, and you're used to that. Yeah. So we continue to abuse ourselves, as we go along. And then I always tell everybody, do not take yourself to the point, because this is something that the little voices told me, right? I kept asking myself, why did this happen to me? Why did this happen to me? Mm-hmm. And the voices kept telling me, you took yourself, this didn't happen to you. You took yourself to the brink of death to see how much you were loved. Only to find out that you were alone, and it was you that had to give yourself love, because nobody was there for you, which is weird because that was my final thought. Wow, I'm going to die here alone. Right.
Right.
So I tell people now, I've spoken to a few people where it's like, you can just see, it's like they divinely caused this for themselves to take themselves here. And it's like, don't take yourself to the brink of death to prove that people love you. You need to learn to love yourself. You need to love yourself enough to not do this to yourself, to take care of yourself. Yeah. And it's just like everything else, I'm constantly told, we are no different than a car. We are no different. We like to think that we're special, but we are designed no different than a car. We are designed no different than a computer. We are a machine, right? And it's like that machine, just like your computer needs maintenance, every once in a while you got to clean out the junk and blah, blah, blah.
Right.
And the car needs maintenance. It needs oil changes, transmission fluid changes, blah, blah. We also need maintenance. This is a machine and it has to have maintenance if you want it to run correctly. You can't go to the dealership, get a Lamborghini, bring it home, and on the side of the tank, it says unleaded fuel only, and you're going to go to your refrigerator and pour a bunch of Coke in the gas tank. Right. And expect it to run right. Here you got this multi-million-dollar machine, and you're going to do that to it. Well, this machine is way more important than that. Right. And here we are, we have stamped from the minute we're born, organic, natural food only. And we're sitting here putting all this junk into our gas tank. And then we can't understand why the machine doesn't want to go. I don't understand why it's running like this.
Yeah, that's so intense what you're saying. Yeah. It's
simplistic. That's what I keep telling. The body is very simple. Do not complicate it. Do not complicate it. It's very, very simple. And it's machinery. It's a very complex machine, but it's very simple to understand. At least in my head, it is.
Well, you have voices talking to you, telling you how you have a direct connection.
Yeah, and the little I get the little what do you call the little visuals. It's like, oh, it's going here, look, and then it's going there, and then it goes there. It's like, so sometimes I'll go to the hospital and I'll stand there and I can't say anything, right? But we're listening, and and they're saying different stuff, and I'm like, that's not true. That's not the way it works.
So it's like you have this inside joke, you start laughing and everybody's like, what's wrong with her?
I'm just like, I've got the faces going like, what the heck's he talking about? That's not the way that's very good,
That's
it's kind of crazy.
That's so interesting. How do you do you think like your mission here is to continue just working with people one-on-one? Do you think you're going to open, as I'm sitting here, I'm like, wow, are you going to end up opening a healing retreat? Because that's kind of where I feel like you're going.
Yeah. The last house that we purchased, the main house that we purchased, that was the whole intention for it. It was to put, like fifth wheels in the back and have different little, like at least 4 where, people could come, and they were healing retreats because I also teach fasting.
Yep.
So, I do fasting sometimes, and we do, and now I have a group, like it's a membership group, and I have that, and I worked with people in that group, and we do like liver flushes together, and we do fasting together and stuff, but it's not like the most, I want to say like the best environment for that, because anybody can be on the other end of the phone going, yeah, I'm fasting. You don't really know.
Right.
So I would like to do it more like as a collective,
right.
And it's, hey, let's all do, this fasting together, and hey, let's all do.
Well, I'm going to ask you this, and I want to know, like, you see people, I definitely need to get all your contact information. I want to make sure that everybody's able to get a hold of you, and get you even busier than you are right now. I also, like, if you could recommend one thing for people to do, what is what would you suggest to people? What's your main thing that you come across?
I always tell people, it's like, look, diet, and your food, not diet. I don't want to say diet because like the first 3 words is die. I don't even believe in diet, but food is going to take you 50% there, period. Like food is it. Food is, and they've said it through the ages. Even in the Bible, it says, that everything we need is, put on the earth for us, and it's like Hippocrates, said, let food be your medicine and medicine be your food, they've been saying this through the ages, and it's true. Right. Food is going to take you 50% there. and then the other 50% is deficiency and toxicity. That's all it is. I'm constantly being told that. I even have a sign up there. It says toxicity and deficiency, because it's the toxins that are going in, and the deficiencies that your body has, the vitamins, the minerals that your body has. So I mean, and you've got to move. This was not a machine that was meant to sit idle.
Yeah.
Even if it's just walking around the block, you've got to move those fluids. Those fluids got to move. Your it's only got dark in here.
No, it did, didn't it?
Yeah, I have a skylight, so it's like the sun must have gone away.
You're still there, Marie.
Yeah, I'm still
kind of in shadow, but you're there.
I'm now an entity. So so that's the most important part. So even if you could just walk around the block, just around the block,
right,
that's going to keep that lymphatic fluid moving, and that the blood circulating enough where it's gonna help you. But you've got to. So food and movement are the two biggest. But by far, the biggest problem I have is liver issues. Liver, for sure. No ifs, ands, or buts.
And what I already know, like 2 or 3 people I'm going to send to you. There you are.
Liver issues, because your liver, and there's a reason why they named it liver, LIVE, live, and it dictates every single one of your other organs. Once that liver starts getting bad, your other organs will start breaking down. So anything else, like they'll say, oh, I have thyroid disease, liver. I have kidney disease, liver. Everything can be traced back to the liver. Everything.
Wow.
So even the great, Gerson knew it was about the liver.
Right.
Hilda Clark knew it was about the liver. Everybody knew it was about the liver. Everybody. Clean your liver. Andreas Moritz knew it was about the liver. Everybody. That all the greats knew that, and everybody, like I can't even think of one, except one doctor whose I won't mention, who thinks it's kidneys and adrenals, but even the kidneys and adrenals goes back to the liver. Everything goes back to the liver.
Everything goes back. That's such an important. I mean, I think what you're saying is, groundbreaking and important here.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and a lot of people don't realize, it's like all the other organs, you can pretty much do without. Like you can do without a kidney, and you can do without your pancreas, and you can do without, you can't do without your liver. You can't do without your liver. You can't live without your liver.
That's true. You can't live without your liver. That's true.
And the liver is, and a lot of people don't even know this, the liver actually rejuvenates itself every 6 months. If it didn't, you'd be dead because it's so toxic.
Right.
And even if you were to cut off half your liver, it would grow back.
Right.
So your liver is like your main, that's the main machine, man. That's the motor right there.
Right.
You have all the other little components, but if your motor starts going bad, everything else is going to start going downhill.
So that's pretty amazing. So how do people get a hold of you right now, Marie? Can they call you? I know that you're having some website opening sort of. Yeah. Now that everybody in the world is starting to know who you are.
I'm on TikTok.
You're on TikTok.
They can reach me on TikTok. Consultations, they can go to the website at ecrater.com, a place to heal.ecrater.com.
Oh, a place to heal.
Yeah.
A place to heal dot ecrater.com.
Yeah. Or they can go to eCrater and just search a place to heal. They can find me I am a place to heal. So even if you just Google a place to heal, you're going to find me.
Okay.
Because I've been doing this for like 8 years now, 9 years, I think 9 years next Friday.
Wow.
So, you can find me on YouTube. I have a YouTube, which is a place to heal. Or you can find me by my name, Marie V. Stevens, and it's with a PH. Yeah. Instead of STEV, it's PH. So, and I have books on Amazon.
Oh, do you really?
Yeah. About
I
kidney
didn't know
health.
that. What's the name of your books?
Yeah. It's, Healing the Kidneys 101.
Okay.
And yeah, they can find me on that. So they're doing that. I'm trying to get some more detox books out, but and I also, I also write articles for hub pages. So I'm like all over.
You're doing a lot of things, but you're probably going to be well, here's one of my questions for you. I just had it and it just fell right out of my head. Oh my goodness.
There it goes. I have that. It's
I
like there's so much going on.
Right. It's like, wait, Healing Kidneys. So the name of your company is, or the name of how to find you is A
Place to Heal.
To Heal.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And that would be, yeah.
Yeah. What, or they can find me by my name. I'm everywhere by my name, Marie V. Stevens. Okay. They can find me. Yeah.
PH. Not
yeah.
V.
STEPHENS. Yeah.
Okay. Wow, I guess I'm like I'm wondering. There's so many things that I want to ask you. I just don't. I
know,
feel like
people are like, I have so many questions.
I know there's like, I'm sure that there's like, I feel like this flood coming towards you. You're never going to be able to write your other book because you're just going to be so
no. I've been trying for like a couple of years now, and it's like everybody's like, do the detoxification book. I want the detox. I'm like, oh, I can't do the detoxification. I don't have the time. I just don't. And funny enough, the follow-up to that story is I had told the entities that I couldn't go right now because I was going to have to stay for my grandchildren.
Right.
Which oddly enough, I only had one grandchild in 2010.
Oh.
But I came back and I got a call one day from the state asking me if I could take my grandchildren in because they had been taken away from their mom from the state. And I ended up with a 3-day-old grandchild that I did not even know about.
You didn't know about.
And the other one was 6. So I took them in and I've been raising them ever since. And the little 3-day-old grandchild is now going to be 6 years old next week.
Wow.
So I did have to come back for my grandkids.
You did have to come back. So it's almost yeah. So you knew things when you were on the other side that you did not know. Like grandchildren.
So I already knew the answer. Yeah, I already knew the answer. Yeah, 2, not just 1. Yeah. So 2, I've been raising them ever since.
Wow.
Yeah. So I do all this with the grandkids.
So you do all that. So you're busy. You're busy.
I'm busy. Yes.
I can relate. Yeah. You're very, very busy. You're gonna get busier. I mean, it's gonna end up happening. Yeah. How far booked out are you right now?
Like 3 weeks, I think.
3 weeks? Oh yeah. 3 months, 6 months, a year.
There's some, if you have an open agenda, you can usually get into those little openings,
Right.
Like but if you work, then it's going to be hard to get, to get like my Fridays are like completely booked. Forget it. And it's like I think my Instagram, I can't even answer questions on Instagram. I have like over 3,000 messages on there. I just can't even go through them all. There's just no way.
Yeah.
So every night I lay in bed and I'm like, let me scroll. Okay, I know exactly what's wrong with you. Let me write you.
Oh, so it's sort of like just wherever you're guided to. That makes sense.
Yeah, because I do still do some stuff pro bono, right? I have my consultations and stuff, but I never wanted to give that up. So I always choose at least one person a day that I do want to help, free of charge, nothing. And I do that. So that's usually what I do before I go to bed. It's like, okay, do I pick, YouTube? Do I pick Instagram? Do I pick TikTok? Who do I pick?
I love TikTok. Go there. There's so many things that I've learned from TikTok.
I'm just like, TikTok is like this. Everybody should just quit school and go to TikTok.
I know, go to TikTok because that's where you're going to learn all your stuff. Don't quit school.
I know. Yeah. It's like you learn everything on there, even how to cheat at school.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, Marie, I know I have more questions for you, and I'm so excited because I'm gonna have a consultation.
Yes, you've got a consultation coming up. Yes,
I can't remember when it is. Next week, I hope. I think I wrote it.
Yeah,
down.
I think it is next week.
Is it next week? Now I have to look.
Yeah, I think it is. I think you've got.
I didn't write it down, Marie.
Oh my goodness. Are you even in next week? I don't even think you are next week.
Maybe I'm not next week. Maybe I need.
Nope, you're not, because I don't see you here next week. Nope, it's probably the week after that.
Okay,
I'll have to check it.
I'm gonna have to check it because I'm somewhere in there. It's just if I don't write it down, it's not in this.
I know. Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
It was like, I just want to go through you. I'm like, nope, you got to use the calendar because first of all, there's like all these hours that are, changing, and now we got daylight savings time, and there's people booking, and if I don't want to get overbooked, I don't want to get anybody mad, so let's just,
Right.
yeah, let's just stay with that.
Well, I just really want to thank you. It is really just a blessing that you came, that you decided to come back.
Well, no, thank
Obviously,
you for having me.
yeah, no, it's just been wonderful. I feel like we're friends, and I really look forward to working with you. And I will send you everybody that comes my way. Be like, oh, go see Marie. Go
Oh,
see
thank you.
Marie. Go see Marie. All right. Well, take care of yourself. I'm going
All
to just
right.
go ahead and stop recording.